Ex-wife cheated and left, but now she's losing it seeing me happy with my new GF. Last year, my ex-wife had an affair and decided to leave me. Strangely enough, when she walked out, I felt more relief than heartbreak. From the outside, our marriage might have looked solid, but it had been emotionally dead for years. Between the financial strain and the constant fights, I was already worn down. She had a habit of taking large amounts of money from our account, leaving me scrambling to pay the bills. Anytime I confronted her about it, she twisted things around, blaming me for not earning enough. No matter what I did, it was never good enough. I tried to save our marriage countless times by planning dates and family activities, hoping to spend more time together. But she was never interested, preferring to stay in bed and sleep instead. Eventually, I gave up. She didn't care, but then accused me of keeping our kids away from her, despite her lack of involvement. Soon, she started staying out at night. She claimed she was with a friend, but when I asked about it, she'd snap at me, saying it was none of my business. When she asked for a divorce, I had mixed feelings. I was scared of what my life would look like, but also relieved it was finally over. However, the divorce process dragged on for months, thanks to her lawyer's sloppy work. From spelling our names wrong to mixing up our children's details, the mistakes were endless. Even the final draft had errors, but in a weird way, it took me time to mentally prepare for what was coming. After the divorce was finalized, my ex moved in with the guy she cheated with. He turned out to be abusive, and suddenly, she lost access to all my money when I changed my banking passwords. She was in shock, realizing just how much she depended on me financially. To top it off, she could stop paying the mortgage on the house we lived in, which belonged to her uncle. He came to me, asking if I could help with the back payments. Instead, I made him an offer to buy the house, and surprisingly, he accepted. A year has passed since our divorce, and life couldn't be better. I got a promotion, moved into a healthier lifestyle, and even started coaching my kids' soccer team. I've been meeting new people and living my best life. Meanwhile, my ex-wife's world seems to be falling apart. One day, she turned up at one of our kids' soccer games and asked if I wanted to move back in with her, claiming it would be better for our child. I was floored. I told her point blank that there was no chance I'd ever take her back. She even tried to manipulate me by saying she'd pay me back the money she owed if we got back together. That made me laugh out loud, and her tears didn't change my mind. After all the pain she caused me, the idea of getting back together was laughable. To make things even more dramatic, she saw a Facebook post where my new girlfriend, shared photos of a trip we took together. That set her off. She called me, screaming about how I had humiliated her by posting photos with another woman. She accused me of being unfaithful, even though she was the one who had cheated on me for over a year. The irony was too much, and I couldn't stop laughing. She even threatened to message hoping to ruin things between us. But I told her she could try. It wouldn't make any difference. Since my ex-wife saw those photos, her obsession with my life has only grown. She's been trying to pry into every detail, even going so far as to message mutual friends to ask about my new relationship. I've heard through the grapevine that she's been telling people how heartbroken she is, trying to paint herself as the victim. But the truth is, she dug her own grave. She chose to leave, thinking she was trading up, and now she's dealing with the consequences. On the other hand, has been amazing through all of this. When I told her about my ex-wife's outbursts and threats, she just shrugged it off and laughed with me. We both know that my ex can't stand seeing me happy without her, but we don't let it bother us. She brings a kind of peace into my life that I didn't even know I needed. We enjoy simple things together, like hiking on the weekends, trying out new restaurants, and just talking for hours about everything and nothing. It feels natural, something I never had in my previous marriage. My ex-wife's latest move was to send me a long-winded email filled with accusations and guilt trips. She claimed that I was ruining our child's life by not giving her another chance and that I was being selfish by dating someone else. She even threw in some sentimental nonsense about how we were meant to grow old together. Honestly, I couldn't even finish reading it. I'm done letting her manipulate me. For years, I lived in the shadow of her emotional abuse, and now that I've broken free, there's no going back. The thing is, my child deserves a stable environment, and it's become increasingly clear that my ex can't provide that. She's still with the same abusive guy, and I've had to seriously consider going for full custody. It's not a decision I take lightly, but after everything that's happened, I think it's what's best for our child's safety and well-being. I don't want them exposed to that toxic relationship any longer. As for my relationship with things are only getting better. She's met my child a few times now, and they get along really well, which is a huge relief. I was nervous about introducing them, but Cher has been nothing but kind and patient. She understands the complexities of co-parenting and has never tried to overstep any boundaries. It's a refreshing change from the constant chaos I dealt with in the past. I've learned a lot over the past year. The biggest lesson, I deserve happiness. For too long, I settled for a relationship that drained me, both emotionally and financially. Now, I'm in a place where I'm thriving, at work, at home, and in my personal life. My ex-wife's bitterness can't touch me anymore. Every time she tries to tear me down, it only serves as a reminder of how far I've come. Looking back, I realized just how much I've grown since the day I found out about her affair. I've reclaimed my sense of self, set boundaries, and started prioritizing my own well-being. I'm healthier, more confident, and finally living life on my own terms. And the best part, I don't need her validation or approval anymore. In the weeks following that heated confrontation with my ex, things have been relatively peaceful. I've made it clear that I'm no longer engaging with her about anything other than our child. The more I distance myself from her chaos, the clearer my head becomes. And honestly, I'm happier for it. She and I have been growing closer by the day. We recently took a trip to the coast, just the two of us. It was a much-needed getaway, a chance to leave the drama behind and focus on what's important, us. We spent hours walking along the beach, talking about life, our future, and what we want from it. It was one of those rare moments where everything felt perfect. There were no interruptions, no distractions, just the two of us enjoying each other's company. After everything I've been through, it's almost surreal to experience such a peaceful, fulfilling relationship. She isn't like anyone I've ever been with before. She's supportive, thoughtful, and truly cares about me, not for what I can provide, but for who I am. It's a refreshing change from the toxicity of my past, and I find myself wondering how I ever put up with my ex-wife's behavior for as long as I did. But of course, my ex couldn't stay quiet for long. A few days after we got back from our trip, she called me out of the blue. At first, I thought it was about our child, but it quickly became clear that she was using that as an excuse to vent her frustrations again. She had seen more pictures of Cher and me on social media and decided to have another go at making me feel guilty. This time, she wasn't just angry, she was desperate. She accused me of abandoning our family, of betraying her, and even said that I was using our child to get back at her. None of it was true, of course, but that didn't stop her from trying to manipulate the situation. I calmly told her that we're no longer a family in the way she's pretending we are, and the only thing that binds us now is our shared responsibility as parents. She didn't want to hear that. I could sense the frustration in her voice as she scrambled to regain some kind of control over the situation. She even brought up the idea of us going to counseling together, claiming it would be good for our child. I saw right through her. She didn't want counseling for the sake of co-parenting. She wanted to use it as a way to worm her way back into my life. I told her I wasn't interested and that if she wanted to work on herself, she should go to therapy on her own. That's when she broke down crying, telling me how much she regrets leaving and how miserable she's been with her current boyfriend. She tried to appeal to my sympathy, saying that she didn't know how good she had it with me until she lost it. But her tears don't affect me anymore. I've moved on, and I have no intention of revisiting the past. I let her cry it out and ended the conversation as soon as I could. As hard as it is to see her still struggling, I know it's not my job to save her. She made her choices, and now she's dealing with the consequences. The truth is, I'm no longer the man who would sacrifice his own happiness to fix someone else's mess. I have my own life to live, and I'm doing it on my terms. That evening, I sat down with Cher and told her everything. She listened without judgment, offering nothing but support. That's one of the things I love most about her. She doesn't try to fix things for me. She just listens and lets me work through it at my own pace. We talked about how to handle my ex going forward, and we both agreed that setting firm boundaries is the only way to protect my peace of mind. She even joked that my ex is still in love with an idea of me that doesn't exist anymore. The man who would do anything to keep the peace, even if it meant sacrificing his own well-being. As the weeks go by, I've become more focused on my goals. I'm continuing my therapy sessions, working on becoming the best version of myself. It's funny how much you can grow when you remove the toxic influences from your life. I've started to realize that my worth isn't tied to someone else's approval or validation. For years, I thought I wasn't good enough because that's what my ex made me feel. But now I see that I'm more than enough. She and I have started talking about the future. Nothing too serious, just dreaming about what might come next. We're not rushing anything, but it's exciting to think about where this relationship could go. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm building something real, something lasting. We've talked about traveling more, maybe even moving in together someday, but for now, we're taking things slow and enjoying each other's company. As for my ex-wife, I'm sure she'll keep trying to stir up drama, but I'm no longer letting it affect me. I've set boundaries and I intend to keep them. My focus is on my child, my relationship with Sher, and my own personal growth. Everything else is just noise. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that healing is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't always follow a straight path. But if you stay committed to yourself and your own happiness, you'll eventually find your way out of the darkness. I've come a long way in the past year, and I know there's still more to come. But for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the future. A few months have passed since my last update, and things have been progressing in ways I couldn't have imagined just a year ago. I'm now in the best shape of my life, mentally and physically. She and I are closer than ever, and my relationship with my child has never been better. It feels like everything is finally falling into place. But of course, my ex-wife hasn't let go completely. About a month ago, I received a call from my lawyer. My ex was trying to revisit our custody agreement. She claimed that she wanted more time with our child and was pushing for shared custody. This caught me off guard because, until now, she had shown little interest in spending more time with them. She had been wrapped up in her toxic relationship with her new boyfriend, and I assumed that our current arrangement, which gave me primary custody, was working fine. When we went to court, her lawyer made the case that I had been alienating her from our child by not allowing her enough time with them. This couldn't be further from the truth. Our child has always had the freedom to visit her whenever they wanted, but they've been hesitant because of the volatile environment at her house. Her boyfriend's behavior has only made things worse, and our child has expressed how uncomfortable they feel around him. I presented this to the judge, explaining that I've done everything in my power to maintain a healthy co-parenting relationship, but the reality is that our child feels safer and happier living with me. I even brought up the numerous times my ex had neglected to pick them up or canceled plans at the last minute due to personal issues. The judge seemed to understand where I was coming from, and in the end, the custody arrangement remained the same. After the hearing, my ex was furious. She accused me of turning our child against her and claimed that I was trying to erase her from their life. It was more of the same emotional manipulation I had grown used to, but this time, I didn't let it get to me. I calmly told her that our child's well-being was my only priority and that I would continue to do what I felt was best for them. She didn't have much to say after that, and I haven't heard from her since, except for the occasional text asking about visitation. In the meantime, my life with Cher has been incredible. She's become an important part of my life, and even though we're taking things slow, it's clear that we're building something special. We recently went on another trip, this time to the mountains. It was peaceful, just the two of us in a cabin, enjoying the quiet and disconnecting from the world for a while. We spent our days hiking, cooking meals together, and just talking. It was one of those trips where you really get to know someone on a deeper level, and it only strengthened my feelings for her. One night, as we sat by the fire, Cher brought up something that had been on her mind. She asked me how I felt about the future, about us. I appreciated her honesty and the fact that she wasn't trying to rush anything. She just wanted to know where we stood. I told her the truth. I could see a future with her. I wasn't ready to make any big decisions right away, but I couldn't deny that the thought of a life with her made me happier than I had been in years. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm no longer being dragged down by the weight of my past. My ex-wife's attempts to manipulate me or interfere in my life don't hold any power over me anymore. I've learned to set boundaries, protect my peace, and focus on what really matters: my child, my relationship with Cher, and my own personal growth. Recently, I've even started taking on new challenges at work. My promotion came with a lot of responsibilities, but I'm thriving in my new role. I feel more confident and capable than ever before, and I know that this confidence comes from the work I've been doing on myself. Therapy has been a game changer for me. It's helped me unpack the years of emotional abuse I endured and taught me how to recognize my own worth. Speaking of work, Cher and I have been talking about combining our professional lives in a way that could benefit both of us. She's got some incredible ideas for expanding her career, and we've been brainstorming ways to collaborate on a few projects. Nothing's set in stone yet, but it's exciting to think about the possibilities. The idea of building something together, not just in our personal lives but professionally, feels right. As for my ex, I've heard through mutual friends that things with her current boyfriend have taken a turn for the worse. I don't take any pleasure in hearing about her struggles, but I can't say I'm surprised. The last I heard, they were on the verge of splitting up, and she's been trying to figure out her next move. I wish her well, but I'm not getting involved. My days of cleaning up her messes are long behind me. Reflecting on everything that's happened, I can't help but feel grateful. It's strange to say, but in a way, my ex-wife leaving me was the best thing that ever happened. It forced me to confront the issues in my life, to grow, and to rediscover who I really am. I'm stronger now, more resilient, and more determined than ever to build a life that I can be proud of. I know there will always be challenges ahead. Life isn't perfect, and I'm sure my ex will try to stir things up again in the future. But now, I have the tools to handle whatever comes my way. I'm no longer afraid of the unknown, and I'm excited about what the future holds. If you take anything away from my story, let it be this: you can rebuild your life after betrayal. You can come out stronger, happier, and more fulfilled than you ever thought possible. It takes time, patience, and a lot of self-work, but it's worth it. Don't let the past define you. You deserve better, and you can have it if you're willing to put in the effort. Thank you for sticking with me through this journey. I'll keep sharing updates as things progress, but for now, I'm focusing on enjoying this new chapter of my life with Shira, my child, and the bright future ahead. Until next time, stay strong, keep growing, and never settle for anything less than the happiness you deserve. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future updates. Take care.